Well, those hoverboards they had in Atlantis.
Right, and you talk about the collapse of the international trade.
And that means that intimate relationships are going to be based on trust and honesty. Remember this, everybody will be clairvoyant, telepathic. Now, you cannot hide secrets from somebody if you're both seeing the other's auras.
What is the difference between divine will and desire? And then how do you tap into divine will?
Well, just the simple intention will tap into it. If you intend always to do what is the divine will, what's for the highest good.
What are the chakras that go beyond the ones, the seven that we are so familiar with? And why is it so important for us to tap into those?
Yeah, it's vitally important. The 7 chakras are the third dimensional chakras. When you work only with those, you are holding yourself in the third dimension. And I just threw myself into a chair and said, well, if there is anything out there, just show me. And to my amazement, a golden being came in and stood in front of me. Now, I knew nothing about angels, but I knew this was an angel.
Hey y'all, welcome back to Transformation to Expansion. I'm your host, Lajoie Bradley, and today we have a very special guest. Her name is Dianna Cooper. She's going to be here talking about her amazing book, The Golden Future, which I have read and I'm obsessed with, and I'm so excited, making me so excited about the future because we all know as Uranus goes into Gemini, the next 7 years, it's going to be not a little chaotic, it's going to be chaotic. Okay, it's going to be chaotic, but it's really leading us to come into this beautiful, beautiful, beautiful future full of love. So real quick, Dianna is going to go ahead and introduce herself to you guys.
Hi, I'm Dianna Cooper, and I've written 34 books about angels and unicorns and dragons and ascension and all those things. And it started with an angel experience because I was a completely 3D person with no religious understanding, no spiritual concept, nothing whatever. And then I was getting divorced. I was at a rock bottom. I could not see a future. And I just threw myself into a chair and said, well, if there is anything out there, just show me. And to my amazement, a golden being came in and stood in front of me. Now,
Wow.
I knew nothing about angels, but I knew this was an angel. And it held out its hand and took me on a journey. And it showed me all sorts of things, but the one I remember most was we flew together side by side over a hall full of people, and they all had beautiful rainbow auras. And I said, oh, am I down there in the audience? And the angel said, no, you're on the platform. You're to be a spiritual teacher. Oh, I didn't even know what a spiritual teacher was. I was completely in the dark. I just wrote it down and waited. And then I decided to train to be a hypnotherapist. And so I trained, I set up in practice, and I was aware of angels around my clients. But I didn't communicate with them, didn't talk to them, or even talk about them. And then 10 years later, much had happened. I'd been on a long seek and search, and by that time I'd written 4 books. And I was lying in the bath, and I just said, oh, could I have some guidance for my classes that I run? And this angelic voice came in and said, we want you to tell people about angels. And I said, no way. People will think I'm nuts. There's no way I'm doing that. And they said these words that I shall never forget. Who's doing your work? Is it your ego or your higher self? And I said, okay, point taken. I got out of the bath, I put a towel around me. I went into the bedroom, sat on the bed, and 3 angels stood in front of me and gave me all the information for my first angel book. And even then, they supported me because when the book came out, I went on to morning television, and that was when things really changed. Because I said to my no, they asked me if I'd have my aura photograph taken. This was a long time ago, 40 years ago.
Wow. Yeah.
And I said, or maybe 30 years ago, and I said to my guardian angel, would you just step into the photo so that people feel your energy? And the guardian angel stepped into the photo and impressed itself on it. So people could see the golden head, they could see rays of light coming through, they could see a band of gold, which was actually my guide standing behind me, though I didn't know. And the lines went into meltdown. And they had 114,000 calls, which was at that time a lot of calls. Yeah.
That's still a lot, even for this time.
Well, anyway, then it was really crazy. And here's the fascinating thing. So many of the calls were from people who said that they'd had an angel experience and they'd never dared talk about it before. So it kind of opened the floodgates. And that was really amazing. And then the angels have supported me ever since. I've
Mhm.
just always connected with them and learnt from them and met all the other beings from the angelic realms, like the dragons, the unicorns, the fairies. They're all part of the angelic realms. So it's been a fascinating journey, and things have happened all the way. Even right at the beginning, I went to Glastonbury, which is a very special place, the heart centre of our planet. And when I went there, I stayed in a bed and breakfast to do a course. I didn't know that the lady who ran the bed and breakfast was a medium. But the second morning, she said, you in blue, looked at me and said, you came here with a whole lot of angels behind you, and you left them here all day doing nothing. That's how I learned about you have to direct angels. They come to you when you're connecting with them. You've got them all around you, and they're standing on street corners unemployed if you don't ask them to do things. You walk
Not unemployed.
street corner and you just see all the unemployed angels. You just ask them to go and help you do things.
That's too funny. They're just sitting there like waiting for us.
Oh, God, isn't somebody going to tell us what to do today? Ask us to do something to help.
That should be a TV show, Unemployed Angels. Like, I would watch.
Well, yeah. But then if you see an ambulance, you ask the angels to go and help the people in it. If you see people looking sad, you ask them to help them feel happier.
Hey y'all, did your vibration get a serious boost from this week's podcast? I know mine did. And I'm willing to bet there's a whole community that also feels the same way. Wait, actually, there is a whole community. That's right. On Facebook, we now have the Transformation to Expansion community where we actually have weekly discussions about the podcast episodes, and we even try out the freebies all together as a community to help us stay accountable. So definitely go ahead and check that out. The link is in the description below, and I'll see y'all there. Peace.
If you see litter, instead of saying, oh, that's awful, I'll tell you my litter story. It was a friend of mine. She went into a place, a beauty spot, lovely place, and there was all this litter around. And she was thinking all these thoughts about these people who drop litter. And then this voice said from there, and what about the psychic litter you're leaving with your judgmental thoughts? Whoa. When she told me that story, it changed something in me. And from then, whenever I see litter, I just ask the angels to bless whoever dropped it, ask to bless them with self-worth and a feeling of belonging, because you don't drop litter if you have a sense of self-worth or you feel belonging. And so that literally changed that in me. And it also helped me to look at other things and think, well, what are my thoughts doing with this? Time to change those thoughts into loving thoughts, into helpful thoughts, into asking the angels to help those people. It makes a difference to everything. And of course, our thoughts, your third eye is a great big crystal ball, and there are 7 levels. The second level is the level of your thoughts. The mental level is yellow, and that's the veil of illusion. And when that's removed, this, what removes it is using your thoughts powerfully for the good of others. Because we can use our thoughts against ourselves, we can use them against others. And if you think that every thought is like a little dart or a little energy spark going out, it's making a massive difference. Everyone can make a huge difference to other people if they make those thoughts loving and generous and kind and abundant for themselves and others. And that also helps to open your third eye.
Okay, so let's talk about this real quick. In a lot of your talks, even in your books, in your YouTube videos, you really expand the perception of chakras, and you even go into each chakra. Right now you're talking about the third eye, and you're saying there's 7 layers in the third eye. A lot of people don't know that there is more depth to the chakras, and they're not even exposed to all of the chakras really. Can you real quick talk about,
I'm not sure about the real quick bit.
I know, right, maybe not real quick, but let's talk about, let's go past the 7 chakras first, because I know everybody's familiar with the basic 7, and it's not even all of the chakras, of course, but there, a lot of people are familiar with, the crown, the third eye, the throat, the heart, the solar, the sacral, and the root. And a lot of your meditations, you go beyond that. So what are, and you know what, since we already kind of know those 7, let's talk about the ones that I haven't mentioned. What are the chakras that go beyond the 7 that we are so familiar with, and why is it so important for us to tap into those?
Yeah, it's vitally important. The 7 chakras are the third dimensional chakras. When you work only with those, you are holding yourself in the third dimension. And of
Wow.
course, our planet has moved right on since then. We are aiming to be sixth dimensional. Now, this is new, absolutely new. The frequency of the planet has risen so much, so unexpectedly, that the Intergalactic Council, that's in charge of all the planets and stars in this universe, had to have a special meeting to discuss what's happening on Earth that we're moving far so quickly forward
Mm-hmm.
into a much, much higher frequency than expected. So if you work with the 7 chakras, they're the physical chakras, then you are holding yourself in that level. So
Mm-hmm.
there are 12 chakras that you can work with, and there are lots more, obviously, but those are the 12. And in Atlantis, in the golden era, everyone had those 12 chakras open. They hold you in the fifth dimension. And so
12.
you have a stellar gateway, which connects you to your monadic self. You then have a soul star, which is all your soul energy, your higher energy. The crown, which is where you connect into all the stars and planets, and that's for higher ascension. Then you have causal, sorry, said that wrong. Causal, no wonder you look puzzled. Then the crown, and that also collects you out there. The causal connects you to the angelic realms. Your third eye, which has 96 chambers, and it's really important on 7 levels to get those open and activated, because the veils of illusion cross those. And when that's open, your life transforms. Your throat, your heart, your solar plexus. Now, there used to be two, in the third dimension, the navel and the sacral chakras, they became one, and all the gifts from the higher chakra were withdrawn. And so there was a pink one. Now there is a pink one and an orange one. And the navel is the oneness chakra. It's about knowing that we are all one. There is no separation, that you cannot hurt somebody else without hurting yourself. And that's really, really being worked on in the universe and for this planet right now. And then so under your sacral, you've got your base, and then, or your root as you call it, and then right under your feet, you've got your earth star chakra. As soon as your earth star chakra comes in, then all the other ones start to open, and it triggers your stellar gateway. You are then working with 12 chakras at a much higher frequency. Your earth star chakra holds your divine potential. it takes you, as soon as that's fully open, it takes you to live in the right place, to start bringing forward the best blueprint for your life. Because we all have a life mission. And people are not on their missions necessarily. Once your Earth Star chakra is in and all your chakras are in alignment, you are on your mission. And of course, your mission is what gives you soul satisfaction. It makes you happier. So you're living in the right place. You start to attract in your soul family into your life.
Divine will versus desire. A lot of people are manifesting from the point of desire. And I think a lot of people are also experiencing that not all of the desires are being manifested. How does somebody, or like, what is the difference between divine will and desire? And then how do you tap into divine will?
Well, just the simple intention will tap into it. If you intend always to do what is the divine will, what's for the highest good, then that's what will come forward for you. And actually, why would you not want to do what's for the highest good? Because if it's for the highest good of someone else, the universe will rearrange itself to make it for your highest good. So if it's for the highest good, it's for everybody's highest good. People get attached, they want something that may be not right for them, but that's lower will, that's their desire. But if you always have in mind just the simple words, only want what's for the highest good, then it's right for everybody.
Mm.
Now, in the golden future, they'll make decisions by stating the situation, and then everybody goes into it and asks for the highest good. It's then easy to make a decision, and everyone is happy with that decision because it's the best thing for everybody. We're not in the new consciousness. You won't be having people saying, I want the biggest place, I want the best place. Everybody will want what's right for everybody. And then it's going to be right for you too.
I love that. I mean, you hit it on the nail too, because I think a lot of people have had this experience where they manifested something maybe a little bit too specific, and then when they get to
Mhm.
that manifestation or they have it, they realize, oh wait, this isn't actually what I wanted. Like for a lot of people, I think like having the biggest house isn't necessarily going to be what they wanted. They might have that biggest house and like they realize, oh, actually, I didn't care for the biggest house. What I really wanted was a house near the water.
Mhm.
Like,
Mhm.
it wasn't necessarily just the biggest house.
Or the house that was full of love, the house that had lovely vibrations, a house where they could connect to nature.
So it's really important to recognize that, and I love that. So all you need to do is ask, "Hey,
Yeah.
what's for my highest good?" And that's it. Just set the day with that intention,
Yeah.
and you're good to go. And I love how easy that is.
Yeah. It's really very simple.
hmm So, what is the Earth Star chakra? What do you mean when you say Earth Star? Because, we have this concept of Earth, and then we have this concept of a star, and I'm just very curious what you mean by that, because in my mind, I'm like, Earth isn't a star.
So the Earth Star is below your feet. So it's what connects you into the earth.
hmm
Where it's the connection to Earth that connects you right into the center of Earth, where Lady Gaia, the angel in charge of the Earth,
hmm
resides. So you
hmm
get an invitation to come to Earth from Lady Gaia, and that invitation is sent to you full of love. And every birthday, it's renewed to you. And what most people don't realize is that on your birthday, the angels sing over you. And part of what they sing is not just your name, which carries the vibration of your mission, but they
hmm
also sing of love and how welcome you are on earth and how loved you are. And people forget this. It's telling you, it's reminding of your divine magnificence. And once a year, if people open up to it, they'll be aware that that's what's being sent to them. So much love. And most of us don't have a clue what's going on around us to help us on the inner planes. I once had an experience. I was just looking at one of my old books and I read this and I thought, oh, yes, I'd forgotten that. Oh, something had happened and I was feeling really grouchy and cross and
Mhm.
upset. I don't suppose you've ever had that feeling. And no,
Okay.
um,
More than I can count.
it was just one of those days and I felt really cross and upset. And I went into the woods and there were some fairies there, part of the angelic realms, and they came to me and they sang my name. And I could hear them singing my name with such love that when I came out of the woods, I couldn't even remember what I was upset about.
So, have you ever felt like you're meant for more? You're here for a reason. Something inside of you knows that there's more. There's more purpose, there's more connection, there's more fulfillment, there's more love to be enjoyed in this life. What if all of that was here right now? Your life easier to navigate, your dreams easier to manifest. You can live in a life of ease, even in these uncertain times with Pluto being in Aquarius. Your community of expansion is right here at your fingertips. From the moment you enter, you feel the sense of release and comfort. No more wondering if all those downloads you got as a kid were just random thoughts. No more wondering that time you had telepathy, thinking that it was just a fluke. Be with the people you know are here for you. Join our ever-expanding community on Patreon for free. And for those of you who ask, yes, the Wellness Library is included. I love y'all so much. Let's get back to the show. Peace.
It just seemed so irrelevant in the love energy that had come to me.
They brought you back to the present moment, which is really beautiful. The present moment of love. Yeah, I really love that. Okay. So, in your book, The Golden Future,
Right.
you talk about you hit all the subjects. You hit the future of travel, the future of agriculture, the future of politics, and I think you do tap into this a little bit more. I really want to know the future of intimate relationships because a lot of that is we see the shift happening right now. What is that going to look like in the future?
Very different from now.
Okay.
I'm going to go back to Atlantis again because the future is kind of based on Atlantis, but even higher frequency. We will,
Hmm.
we've already passing the frequency that they had in Golden Atlantis, though we haven't brought back all their gifts and talents yet. But if a couple wanted to marry and they did not have sexual relationships before they married, not for any religious reasons, purely spiritual, because it was understood then the power and intention of sexual relationships. And so
Hmm.
this couple, they wanted to marry. They went to the priest who was a psychic and he examined their auras. He looked at their past lives. He looked at everything to see if they were compatible mentally, physically, emotionally, and spiritually. If they weren't, why would they want to get married? So
Right.
only if they were totally compatible would they marry. And that was to provide a perfect balanced energy to bring the children up in.
Yep.
So everything was done in higher service. If you wanted a child, you didn't just have sex to have a child. You got together and discussed what kind of child, incoming soul, you could best serve. And
Mm.
then you would meditate together and ask one of that soul or one such soul to come to you to discuss it. And then you would have the physical act in order to draw that soul in. Now, that concept is beyond anything that we have on earth right now, but we will be moving forward towards it. People will be becoming much lighter. There will be less of this physical desire and much more of a pure spiritual intention. And I know when you're young, that sounds boring. Actually, it's just a shift in consciousness. People will be much more attuned to what is the spiritual and nice thing. Do you know, it's going to be much more joyful, much more happy, because the relationships now are not. We are working through so much rubbish and stuff. Whereas
Yeah.
actually, once we've cleared all that energy and you're light and bright, and remember, you've got your Earth Star chakra in, you are then living in a space where you attract your soul family, your soul mates. And so you're going to be living surrounded in love.
Hey y'all, did your vibration get a serious boost from this week's podcast? I know mine did. And I'm willing to bet there's a whole community that also feels the same way. Wait, actually, there is a whole community. That's right. On Facebook, we now have the Transformation to Expansion community where we actually have weekly discussions about the podcast episodes, and we even try out the freebies all together as a community to help us stay accountable. So definitely go ahead and check that out. The link is in the description below, and I'll see y'all there. Peace.
People will be living in much more community orientated spaces with their families and extended families. And if you don't get on with your family now, you're going to be thinking, oh, God, that's terrible. Oh, what an awful idea. But remember, you are then sending out energy for your soul family to come to you. And you will be living with people on the same wavelength, in harmony, in attunement with them. Can you imagine what that's like? And that means that intimate relationships are going to be based on trust and honesty. Remember this, everybody will be clairvoyant, telepathic. Now, you cannot hide secrets from somebody if you're both seeing the other's auras. You, there is no dishonesty. Everybody's honest. You go down the street and you can see what's happening for other people. So people have to be honest on every level. We're so good at hiding our feelings. We've been taught to do so. But each of those hidden angers and hidden fears, they will show in your aura. So there's absolutely no point in hiding them. So when everything is transparent, everyone feels safe. Yeah. Because we're all clear and honest. It makes a huge difference to relationships, almost beyond anything we can conceive right now. But we're moving very quickly into the golden future, and things are going to be so different.
Yeah, I mean, you talk about this in your book. This is like the one thing about your book. When I first was exposed to it, I was like, 7 years.
I know.
My brain was like, is this really like? It's so funny because I think if you would have asked me when I was younger, like in high school or even middle school, I'd been like, yeah, 7 years, let's do it. But I've just been so dated by this system. I mean, we're gonna experience the breakdown of the system in the next 7 years also, so that's something to consider. But when now that I'm much older, I was just like, is it really possible in 7 like I want it to be possible, but is there's still this doubt. But honestly, with everything that's going to happen in the next 7 years, yeah, you have to shake the foundation in order to rebuild it. You can't if we weren't going to go through such drastic changes in the 7 years, I probably wouldn't believe it as much. But since I know what's going to happen in the next 7 years, I'm like, yeah, God, the universe is basically giving us no choice at this point. So.
I know. It seems unbelievable, but when you think how far we've come in the last year or two, people read the news, and news is put out by people with an agenda to hold on to that lower frequency. And so they watch that and they think that's everywhere. And in the meantime, people are rising in frequency, changes are taking place everywhere. Look how many kids won't go to school. The education system is not designed for the children. It's designed by governments to keep kids of that age it was designed to be fodder for the factories. It's no longer suitable. And so the change will be huge in schools. We will not have these great monoliths that are built for the satisfaction of politicians. It will be small spaces where each child is treated as an individual and will respond to that. And of course, there will be much more work with the computers because children can have their individual programs for that, but it will be catering to their strengths, to what gives them satisfaction.
So, have you ever felt like you're meant for more? You're here for a reason. Something inside of you knows that there's more. There's more purpose, there's more connection, there's more fulfillment, there's more love to be enjoyed in this life. What if all of that was here right now? Your life easier to navigate, your dreams easier to manifest. You can live in a life of ease, even in these uncertain times with Pluto being in Aquarius. Your community of expansion is right here at your fingertips. From the moment you enter, you feel the sense of release and comfort. No more wondering if all those downloads you got as a kid were just random thoughts. No more wondering that time you had telepathy, thinking that it was just a fluke. Be with the people you know are here for you. Join our ever-expanding community on Patreon for free. And for those of you who ask, yes, the Wellness Library is included. I love y'all so much. Let's get back to the show. Peace.
What they are interested in, less of learning about somebody else, left brain, somebody else's experience, which is what happens now. It is not suitable. It's not even true. Who writes history? It's the people that have won or the people that are writing at that time. It's not anything to do with the truth. And so it's now a time of truth coming forward. And remember, right now, people are bringing in crystalline light bodies, crystalline brains, crystalline hearts. Now, as we move forward into the higher frequencies, we need bodies that will carry more light. Our carbon-based bodies don't carry enough light for the beings that we will be in the future. So we are now raising our frequency, and as we do so, building crystalline light bodies, crystalline brains, crystalline hearts. Imagine children in school with a crystalline brain. That means they have their own personal computer. At the moment, you've got your left brain, which is your logical brain, which thinks it all out, your right brain, which is in charge of the overall concept. You won't need that. You will have a crystalline brain and a crystalline heart to take you into the golden future. So people that are here already are developing these, but so many children are being born now with their 12 strands of DNA fully connected, and the only reason they're not activated is that the frequency around them is too low. So somebody has got a child, the greatest gift they can give them is to keep the frequency high, keep the house calm, stay in peace, hold the place in love, so that child is safe enough to activate their 12 strands of DNA. And then, oh my goodness, then we are going to see children with powers and gifts that are unimaginable to us right now. And this can happen very quickly. As the planet changes, as people shift, as communities come together, and people feel safe again and feel that they can do what is right for them, for their souls, what gives them soul satisfaction and joy, then these children will blossom.
So I've heard this many times that, yeah, the future, what the future children are going to look like. We know they're going to have super abilities. I call them like super babies. Basically, I always say, I'm going to have a super baby. um, but, part of me is like, what about us now? What about me? What about, the. That's it for part 1. I will see you next week in part 2. Peace.